Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Thomas Jefferson said, if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. Benjamin Franklin said, without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. Basically, get off your duff and get to working on your goals, get to working on your life. Move ahead. Okay. I'm going to talk on two things today. First thing is a comment that I saw at one of my videos. And the other thing is what's going on with California budget. But let's talk about, I saw a comment earlier today on my video. I posted it in a Facebook group. Unfortunately, it's been deleted. I'm kind of sad that it was deleted, but it was a complaint. And I don't mind complaints. The person basically was saying, why was it on yesterday's video that I was talking about what I was talking about with the conservatives needing to tell the truth in history versus not talking about something like, say, Putin or people like that. Well, here's the situation with all that. While our Constitution is an amazing foundation to build everything on, we have structural issues. The structural parts are going bad. And as somebody who's worked alongside plumbers, carpenters, electricians, all of these types of people, you realize that you need to fix what is wrong, not fix the symptoms. If somebody's getting sick and you're told, hey, you've got lead poisoning and you're trying to figure out, well, look to the pipes. See if the pipes are causing that. Could it be that you're living in an older house and it's lead pipes in there? If you're having problems with your electric box, with your electrical work in your house, could it be that you've got a fuse box instead of a breaker box? And it could be that the wiring's older and it's not keeping up. You change these things. And I'm working on the structural problems that we've got in our country. And instead of dealing with the symptoms, we need to deal with what's causing the symptoms. And that is what I'm talking about. Yes, I come across a little bit as rambling, but I've already explained. I'm talking to you in some ways like the older folks that I grew up around that would sit on the porch. They'd be talking with each other while whittling some stick that they picked up, or they were trying to carve something, but they were whittling. And they're talking. Sounds a little rambly, but you listen to it and you get all kinds of information. I hope to God that I have gotten to that point where I give you information. And I may go off on what seems like a tangent, but there's so many things that's wrong structurally. We've got that foundation with the Constitution, but they keep trying to chip away at that foundation. Well, they've built a structure on it now that is doing us harm. And so I'm going to get a little rambly because there's so much structural problems. And as somebody who's considered conservative as a minarchist, I'm going to go after the conservative movement so that it will be better. So that if I'm associated with people that I honestly believe I should be associated with, I don't want to be associated with people who basically cause more problems than they're helping. If I have to call you out, I'm going to call you out. That's the way things need to go. So I hope I answered this lady's question. I don't remember her name. I wouldn't have said it anyway. But that is, we need to work on the structure. Okay. So I was looking through the news and came across this from the AP. Now, mind you, this is on YouTube, or YouTube, Yahoo. Sorry. Um, oh, and by the way, if you like what I say, and I want to thank people, since I'm having to post this to YouTube right now, I want to thank the two people that followed me yesterday. Now I'm up to 11 people on there. It's not a lot, but hey, I'm growing. That makes me happy. So like, subscribe, comment. As you can tell, I'm more than willing to discuss comments with people, especially if I think that they need to be on a bigger stage. So, from the AP, Governor Gavin Newsom proposes painful cuts to close California's growing budget deficit. Wow, too much spending and you get a deficit. Who'd have thunk it? So, second paragraph in, officially, Newsom said the state's deficit is $27.6 billion, but really it's closer to $45 billion, which, when including previous spending reductions that Newsom and the state legislature agreed to in March, including reductions in public education spending, which Newsom has not included. The deficit would be even billions of dollars more, according to a recent analysis by the nonpartisan Legislative Analyst Office. Size of the deficit is important. Okay, this is going into some politics because he's a top surrogate for Biden. But I went to where it said what cuts were that they had done. Let me see here. I think it rolled up. Okay, here we go. No headline. This is another AP article. There were no headline-grabbing cuts in the reductions lawmakers approved on Thursday. Despite California's recent budget woes, the Democrats in charge have refused to raise income taxes or impose steep cuts to the most expensive programs, including health care and public education. Why is it that public education's automatically cut first? I just... Instead, most of the savings comes from either canceling or delaying spending that was approved in previous years but hasn't yet been spent. It also relies on a number of accounting tricks that make the shortfall appear smaller, including shifting paychecks for state workers by one day from June 30th to July 1st so that the state can count $1.6 billion in salaries for the next fiscal year. So basically, they ain't done real cuts. They're doing little tricks to make it look like they're paying attention to stuff. And one of the things that they haven't cut that should be, California, I'm not from California, and I don't spend a lot of time there, but free health insurance for all low-income adults regardless of their immigration status. So in other words, they're making sure that these illegal immigrants are getting taxpayer benefits. Really. And so we've got, okay, according to this, while Newsom has not taken away health insurance from anyone, he proposed the state stop paying for health care workers to care for some 14,000 disabled immigrants in their home. That would save 94.7 million. He hasn't pulled back the state's commitments to expanded kindergarten. They're starting kindergarten at 4 years old. Why 4? What's wrong with 5 years old? Seriously. And that just seems like you're trying to get these kids in there to indoctrinate them earlier, which I'm sure that y'all agree with me on that one. He proposed eliminating $550 million that would have helped school districts build the facilities they need to teach all those extra students. So they're making the proposal, or they're spending the money to get these kids in there, but they're not building the facilities to get these kids in there. After promising to pay for child care for another 146,000 children from low-income families, Newsom on Friday proposed pausing that expansion at 119,000. And after promising to boost how much money doctors get to treat Medicaid patients, Newsom on Friday proposed canceling $6.7 billion that had been set aside to do that. The cuts prompted outrage. Well, of course they did. It's basically just a bunch of silliness. They got to spending too much money, and they're trying every trick in the book so that they can help Biden, according to the way this is written. This is no joke. That it is actually written that way. The size of the deficit is important as it will shape the national perspectives of Newsom, who is a top surrogate of President Joe Biden's re-election campaign and who is widely believed to harbor presidential aspirations of his own. So, really, we seriously need to look at. We should not be electing somebody from California in the first place at this point. California has gotten itself into so much trouble because they were listening to special interest groups and not to the people that actually did the work. At 4 years old, why do these kids need? They're wanting these kids in these schools so they can start indoctrinating them so early. You don't need to get them in there at 4 years old. But this also allows the parents to go work so that they can pay more taxes. That's what people don't understand. The minimum wage is not a benefit to anybody but the state and the federal governments. It's to the government, not to the people that are making the money, because it allows them to charge more in taxes. That's all it does. And these kids going to school at 4 years old means less time with the parents. The parents should be raising these kids, not the schools. Seriously, what are these people? And why do you stay in California? There's a lot of people that are moving out of California. There's so many people leaving California that they're wanting to charge these people to leave the state. That's how bad it's become in that state. People do not want to be there anymore. And they're coming to these other states and they're trying to change these states into what California became. And they don't seem to understand. The basic concept is, you want freedom, well, you don't have all this government. But I guess these people don't want freedom. Education is necessary. I will agree to that. But our modern public education system, no. That is more of a noose around our neck. And yes, I said it correctly. Than it is anything good. These charter schools are doing a far better job of educating our kids. Private schools are doing a far better job of educating our kids. And the charter schools are using tax dollars, and they're much more efficient with our money. And people go, well, it's allowing Christian education. Okay, and Christian schools in this country have proven themselves to educate people far better than any of these public schools ever have. That's something that people need to consider. Public education has been what's drawn down our low scores and all that. It's the private education, it's the Christian schools. Those are doing what it's needed to keep these kids truly educated. And I'm a public school kid. I had good teachers. Now, it's not the same thing as what I went to school with. I've listened to these people. I've listened to parents. I've listened to folks. Now, Virginia's got a pretty good education system. They haven't screwed it up that bad in around Hampton Roads, Virginia. Too bad. Norfolk. But I've heard parents with kids in Virginia Beach school systems, which is a good thing. But you take a look up there at Fairfax County, there are some schools in this state that are starting to get the way of California. Thankfully, there's still some schools that aren't. But we need to put a stop to this, and it takes the ballot box. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I normally go longer. I just I'm been working on so many different things that I'm wanting to get done. That's all for y'all. So I hope to God that y'all are going to have a good day tomorrow. I hope everything's going good for y'all. So this is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. I'll talk to you later.